My pleasure.
The Jersey governor's race is more than 2 years away, but the only declared Democrat in the race so far is already rolling out policy positions. Jersey City Mayor Steve Fulop this week unveiled part one of an 8-part strategic plan, this one focused on transportation and infrastructure. Mayor Fulop joins me now in the studio. So, Mayor, is this all part of the strategy, roll out these piece by piece, keep your name in the conversation? Is that a feature of this?
Yeah, I don't know if it's about keeping the name in the conversation. I started early and people were skeptical, and there were 2 reasons I said then that I'm following through on. The first is to build a grassroots campaign that's viable regardless of the political infrastructure in New Jersey. And secondly, policy-driven ideas for the campaign. And both of those take a lot of time. So we started early, and it seems like it's working so far. Stay at it.
Part of this plan, you're going to take it to New York City. Congestion pricing on New York drivers. Mechanically, though, how does that work? How can you get that happen?
Yeah, well, it's the same process that New York pursued with regards to approval to tax New Jersey residents coming in. This wouldn't be a tax on New Jersey residents coming back, because you could set the timelines on when that tax comes into place to only really impact New York drivers driving into New Jersey. It's a place that I think that, the governor and some of the elected officials are wrong. I think congestion pricing is good for mass transit. It's good for the environment. It's a tax on the richest people in New Jersey, because only 3% of the population that commutes actually drive into New York.
So do you support what New York is doing to New Jersey with congestion pricing?
I think that the regional conversation around transportation is important. So I think that New Jersey should be impacting New York the same way. So it shouldn't be unilateral at all. But I do think that congestion pricing is an important part of the conversation to fund mass transit in New Jersey.
But like you said, though, you do cut across a bipartisan consensus in New Jersey that congestion pricing for Jersey drivers is bad.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of rhetoric. But if you take a step back and you actually think on who does it impacts the richest people in New Jersey. I mean, most of your readers or viewers would say that they don't drive to work in New York City. They take mass transit. You're talking about very, very wealthy people that don't care about a congestion tax going into New York because they're that rich that they could find $100 parking for the day. So the whole argument around this is counter to being environmentally conscious, focused on mass transit, and what's right for New Jersey. So, I'm in a different place, and I think that the voters and residents would agree with me.
From where you sit right now, the residents in your city that are going to be affected by the A&C bus company that's changing some routes, those are the people who are most affected, most vulnerable. What are you going to do to make sure that that does not negatively impact so many people in your city?
It's in the plan, but I think that there's a fundamental disconnect between how New Jersey Transit approaches bus routes and what residents want. So when you contract out, or New Jersey Transit contracts out to a private vendor, the private vendor is incentivized to try and make money. That's their goal. They're a private business. We need to understand as a state that everywhere in the country, mass transit is a loser from an economic standpoint, but you gain long-term by moving people around. So there's a disconnect between a private vendor that wants to make money and understanding how mass transit works in any state in New Jersey. New Jersey Transit shouldn't be in the private vendor business around mass transit, because there's a disconnect between their goal and the state's goal, and we would change that.
This plan partially funded by continuing the corporate business tax surcharge. You say you get about $1 billion from that. How do you get the legislature on board with that? There doesn't seem to be much appetite from Democrats.
Let me say that everything in that policy, I was deliberate to say that it's realistic and doable. The CBT, or business taxes you touched on, was put in place by Governor Murphy a couple years ago. Same headwind, he was able to get it accomplished. So if you have a strong governor coming in who's clear about objectives, they would get this passed as well. The reality is that there's a $1 billion gap in New Jersey Transit looming, and we need to be realistic about how to solve that. And those businesses are not your mom and pop businesses we're talking about. We're talking about the largest corporations in the world that do business here in New Jersey.
Has Governor Murphy fixed NJ Transit?
No, I don't think he has. I think that there's a lot of work to be done, and I think that if I'm being fair about it, this is probably not one of the strongest plays from a performance standpoint over the last 6 years, and I think he would probably acknowledge that. My job is to come in with a detailed plan, a roadmap, and actually follow through on it. Most candidates don't do this. Most candidates just say rhetoric around, we're going to fix New Jersey Transit. I'm telling you how I'm going to do it, what I'm going to do, why I'm going to do it, and then ultimately let residents decide.
So what's part 2 of 8 of your plan to fix New Jersey?
Next month, we're going to start with housing policy. what we're going to change. And I think the difference between me and any other potential candidate is that I have a unique experience as mayor of Jersey City for the last 10 years. It's the most diverse city in the country, a lot of economic development, a lot of transportation issues. So looking forward to kind of getting into the weeds on that.
All right, the sequel. Mayor Steve Fulop of Jersey City, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
As for you, stay with us. There's a lot coming up today. This is New Jersey Power and Politics.